Okay, so let's get started. Now, for those of you brand new, keep in mind, for Zoom, what I recommend you have in speaker view where you see me as the biggest object. And that way it's less confusion if you're trying to watch everybody else. Also, you can hear me, but I cannot hear you. I've got to mute. Less background noise that way. Can everyone hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Now, the monitor that I see you guys on is actually behind the camera. So if you see me kind of stare off into space, I'm really not. I'm kind of watching what you guys are doing. So every now and then I may walk off the camera so I can see what you guys are doing for the juggling. Real quick, when it comes to juggling, whatever you have with you, now it could be a ball, could be a tennis ball, could be a baseball, could be bean bags. Really, whatever object you find that fits well in your hand, just keep in mind though, when it comes to a ball, you are going to drop it. There's a chance it might roll away. So sometimes it's recommended when you're brand new to juggling to practice over something like a bed or a couch. So when it falls, you don't have to go around chasing it. Just keep that in mind. All right, so what we're going to work on today, I'm going to show you what they call a 3-ball cascade. Now, cascade looks like this at the end of the day, okay? It's a very basic pattern, and there's a lot of fun stuff you can do off this pattern, okay? So that's called the 3-ball cascade. All it really is kind of just a figure 8. So to start, all you really need is just 1 ball for now. Now what you're doing, a little bit closer to the camera, you can see this. Watch my hand. It's coming up this way. So I'm tossing it inward. And what I'm doing is I'm tossing it up. So it goes up right above my eyebrow. So it drops down my other hand. So I toss it up and catch. Toss it up and catch. And I follow it with my eyes. Especially when you're new. Good. Now resist the urge to reach for it. It's going to fall, and it gives you more time to play with. And again, think under and up. Kind of like you're rocking a baby, hands going this way. If I turn to the side, a little closer, here. Okay, so you just want to get used to that. The higher you go, the more time you have to catch. There you go. And again, think under, under. If you're going over, that's a little bit different, and we'll cover that in a couple moments. Good. There you go. And your goal is that it kind of looks like a figure 8. All right, I toss it up, it falls down, and I toss it up the other side. Good. All right, now grab your second object. So now you have 2, one in one hand, one in the other. So when you do this one now, if you don't feel comfortable yet with just 1, then do that for a little bit, then jump in for 2. No rush. Usually it takes about a week or 2 to feel pretty good with the pattern. You know, it took me about a month, took me a little extra time, but a little practice before you know you're able to do it. So it's not something you're going to get instantly. It takes a little bit. So when you're doing 2, you're going to toss one up, and when it gets to the top, that's when you throw the other one. So I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and at the beginning, it's good to just count 1, 2, 1, 2. So as soon as it gets to the top, that's when you throw the other one. And you see how I'm making that little circle motion as I toss. 1, 2. And you want to go above your eyebrows, and I look up so I can see where they're going to land. Okay, so I get a little bit closer. Now I'm tossing them low because I've done this before, this pattern. Once you get used to it, you can juggle pretty much at any height you're comfortable with. But when you're first starting, above the eyebrows is the best. Gives you more room to play with. Good. There you go. Another bit of advice. Try to keep your arms, elbows tucked. Really most of the motion with your forearms. If I put my arms out in front of me, you get tired fast and you start chasing them. So you don't want to be doing this for the throw. You want to be doing more side to side. There you go, guys. Good. And keep in mind, right now I'm the only person here. There's no one at the monitor. If you do type a question in the chat box, which is awesome, it may take me a moment to get to it. Okay, so 1, 2. And you might spend a little extra time on this. Good. Now, something that may help is sometimes you throw with my right-handed. So if I throw with my dominant hand, my left hand might overcompensate and try to make up for the lack of power. So you end up throwing it too high, or you don't throw it high enough. So sometimes you can start with your weaker side. Okay, what you do is you find what works best for you, and you focus on that. I find whatever you practice is what you tend to do well with. Good. Again, under. Now, keep in mind, if you are using tennis balls, they are super light. All right, kind of like little pinky balls. They are light and they're very bouncy. So sometimes make it a little tough to learn. What I do with my tennis balls at home, I actually cut a little slit in them. I put pennies in there. I fill them with pennies to make them heavier. But you can fill them with sand, birdseed, and then you super glue them shut. So it gives them a little heft and they don't bounce as much. Okay, so if you're using tennis balls, talk to your parents. And if you just cut it a little bit, fill it with something and seal it up, it gives you a little bit more heft and less likely to bounce around. All right, so now grab your third ball. Now, when you're using 3, see how I'm holding 2 in one hand? I'm using the pinky and the ring finger to hold the bottom one. And then I use, could be just these 2 or this, it's whatever you're comfortable with. But the goal is you're able to hold 2 with one hand. And that way, when I toss one, I can roll it right into position. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to just do 3 throws, right? 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's called a flash, where you just throw all 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and your goal is to get them nice and smooth, eyebrow height. So 1, 2, 3. Now, when you do it, it's going to look tricky, but keep in mind, you're holding on to 2, and you only really have 1 in the air. So it's only really 1 in the air at any given time. So there's no need to panic. You have plenty of time. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get off camera for a moment so I can watch you guys are doing. So try those 3. If you have to, go back to just 2, and that's okay. See what you got. Not at the same time, Adam. One and then the other. That's why the counting does help. So you can count to yourself. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good. Now, if the balls or the objects you're using are a lot bigger than your hand, it does make it very tough. There you go. Good. All right, so now, again, once you feel comfortable, now the goal would be you do the 3 and you just don't stop. Right? So you're constantly tossing one up in the air. That's what it is. Right? You start above your eyebrow, give you plenty of time to catch it, and eventually when you improve, you can make the pattern smaller. Okay, but again, above your eyebrow, and you look up. There's no need to watch your hands. If your elbows are tucked, your hands are right by your shoulders. So if I'm watching up high, I know it's dropping down low. But that's all it is. Now at the beginning, you may be able to do that 5 times and drop. And then you restart back over again. Then maybe the second time you do it 6 times. But the goal is with more practice, you go longer and longer before you drop it. Good. Try it out. If you have to, go back to 2. So 1, 2. 1, 2. Good. And like I mentioned, the ball is really just kind of going in a figure-8 pattern. You know, and actually it might be tough to see with these. Hold on a moment. At least if I can find something that makes it a little bit easier to see. All right. So I got something a little bit bigger that'll be a little bit easier to follow. So if I'm doing that pattern, you watch. See how the basketball is kind of just making that figure 8. Okay, so again, this is called the Cascade, and if you watch the basketball, it's really just doing a figure eight pattern. And if you get this pattern down, then you can have fun and do a bunch of different objects with the same thing. All right, guys? So try to a couple more moments. 3-ball Cascade. There you go. Good. Then, when you get a little better, then you can add another basketball. So now you got 2 basketballs and 1 little bitty ball. Pattern is still the same. There you go. Good. You guys know what comes next, by the way? We added 1 basketball, 2 basketballs. What do you think's next? Exactly, 3 basketballs. Who said 7 basketballs? No, Grayson, not 7. Just 3. Now, the only thing you run into, though, when you're trying 3 basketballs, you really can't hold on to them the way that I showed you. So you got to figure out a way that works best for you. Sometimes I like to use my chin. But once you start the pattern, then it's okay from there. And then it just comes down to how quickly your arms get tired. But again, you can do a 3-ball Cascade. Eventually, you can work your way up to different objects. All right, guys? Let's see what we got. Keep going. So again, and if you drop it, pick it up, and you do it again. There you go. Tyler, that's pretty good. You do the one-handed juggling 7 times. Very good. All right, now, real quick, there's something else you can practice when you draw. If you have a ball and shoes on, might be a little tougher, but if you do end up dropping one of the balls, instead of spending time to pick it up, you can actually start to work on, like I said, a little tougher to ball these shoes, but I actually try to work on kicking it up. So you're dropping an object on the ground, instead of spending time doing this, you can actually work on another skill set where you're using your foot, I'll try that again, to kick it up. And then eventually, depending on how well you do this and how well it goes, I don't think it's going to happen today right now, and you can kick it up, and then rush towards the camera as you're trying to juggle the 3. So if you're dropping a lot, don't have the time to work on another skill. All right, guys, keep trying. And if you have to go back to 2, there's nothing wrong with that. And what you can do is you can actually practice holding on to that bottom one as you just do 2. Good. Now, if you're new at this, right, the goal is to get the understanding and then just get to work. And the more you practice, the better you get. Good. All right. Now, someone did ask if I could do 4. So when you do 4, okay, what you do is you're splitting them. So for example, take 1 ball and just toss it in a circle with 1 hand. Still do the same throw you did before. So I still get that little circle as I did before, right? Do it a couple times, and I would recommend you probably do your strong hand. So throw and catch with the same hand. Now, take another one, okay? So as soon as he gets to the top, you throw the other, but I'm still trying to draw a circle. Good. Still go above your eyebrow. You know, if you need to go a little bit higher because it's 1 arm working with 2, that's fine. Then you try it on the other side. So now your weak hand gets used to tossing in a circle. Good. And then after a little bit, you add the other one. And again, always looking up. Okay? So when you do odd numbers, the pattern crosses your cascade. When you do even numbers like this, one hand takes half, the other one takes the other half. So what you have is something like this. And again, it's one hand doing half the work and the other hand doing the other half. Okay, that one takes a little bit longer, not too bad, but you end up spending a lot of time making sure you can do that and you can do that. Okay, if you only have 3 with you and you want to try that, what you would do is you would do one hand and then toss it to the other hand. So you see how I'm tossing the yellow ball to each side. So it's one way you can kind of do that practice with only 3. Also makes for kind of a neat trick to kind of play with the pattern a little bit. So that's how you would do 4. Good. Now 5, whew, that one takes a bit, and I have not gotten that one down yet, but I haven't really been putting the time into it though. It is one of my goals. Eventually you'll do 5, but not now. I kind of focus on mainly doing 3, and then try to juggle as many different objects as I could. There you go. All right. So now let me show you a trick you can do. What we were talking about before is this called the Cascade. All right, now watch this hand. Okay, watch this hand. Instead of it catching and tossing this way, it catches palm down. And then I throw it on the ground like that. Let me get a little bit closer so you can see. You guys see what I'm doing? It's called a claw. So instead of catching underhand, you catch overhand. Okay, so I would catch, and then I would still do the circle, but I'm doing it like this. So they call that a claw. And what you do is, get your pattern, and you try it a couple times. And then you try it on the other side. And then eventually what happens is you claw the whole pattern and throw the ball down. There you go. Good. What's nice about dropping pretty often is that the audience thinks you don't know what you're doing, and then you wow them at the end when you don't drop it anymore. But again, they just call that a claw. It's kind of a neat trick to do at the beginning. If you only have 2 to work with, or 1, you just toss, catch, toss, catch. So you can just do 1 at a time to get used to it. Always build up and juggle it. Good. Nice, guys. And you are going to find you're going to reach out to try to catch it. If you find that happens a lot, what you can do is you can get close to a wall, probably not while we're doing the lesson today, and you can juggle close to a wall. It helps keep the pattern closer to you versus out here. Good. Couple more moments, guys. I'm off camera for a moment. I want to see what you guys look like. All right. Now, for those of you that don't think you have what it takes to juggle, you don't have good hand-eye coordination, whatever, it's all practice. Like I mentioned, when I first learned how to do this, I was reading up on it, and most people say it takes about a week of solid practice to feel good. I took about a month. It took me extra. I didn't have real good hand-eye coordination. I was just persistent because it was something that I wanted to do. Being a black belt gave me an appreciation of skill. The easier something looks, the more time someone's spent doing it. Yeah, that's all. All right, so now let's try something else. And again, at the end of this session, you try to grab onto what you can, go into a variety of things. All right, so back to 1. So I showed you a cascade, which is like figure 8. Now we're going to do what they call a shower. Now a shower is when the ball is going in a circle. So I would toss it up and then across. Now at the beginning, it's easier to clap. There you go. Good. And again, still above your eyebrow. Good. And let it fall into your hand. Resist the urge, which everyone's been trained to try to catch something. Resist the urge and let it just fall. It'll give you more time you'll be more relaxed. There you go, Matt. See, Matt, that's why I don't compliment people. It messes them up. Good. All right, now, if you have the second one, what you do from there is, as soon as it goes up, and again, you can clap if it makes it easier at the beginning, and then eventually, you just throw it to the other hand. Now, I recommend higher than your eyebrow. If you've done it before, you can do a smaller pattern, but usually higher gives you more time. Good. There you go, Lindsay. Yep, and the only thing about this is an outward throw. Okay, so the Cascade goes this way. This, the shower, you throw outward. So a little bit different than we're doing before. Good. Hello, Mrs. Renfrew. Good to see you. All right, now, if you're feeling comfortable, and by the way, if you can only do two, there is a lot of fun things you do with two. I mean, you could be juggling two with one hand, and then you could just decide to make like a cascade-like pattern with the hand, right? So again, there's a lot of stuff you can do with two. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has to start somewhere. Now, if you do three, and you're looking to do a shower, okay? So what happens is, again, this part here gets important. So when I throw one, I can move it. So when I throw one, I can get the other one ready. So on this one, when you throw it up, you gotta be able to throw two before this one moves. And then this one's a little bit quicker. That one will really test your hand speed. So at the beginning, I recommend you do three. 1, 2, just to get the balls out of your hand and used to it. So that would be a shower. Good. And when you first start, the bigger the pattern, the easier. After a while, you can make the pattern as small as you think your hands can handle. Now, there you go. If you guys are just joining us, keep in mind it does take time to be good at something. There we go. Good, nice, Danya. There you go. So again, they call that a shower. And when you're catching, be careful of having your hand go really high above your elbow. Keep everything as low as you can. It gives you more time to catch. Good. I'm going to be off camera for a moment. Let's see what you guys are doing. There we go. And tell you, you don't have to reach up for it. It's coming to you. All right. All right. Now, if you want to go back to three, there's something you can do. Watch the yellow ball, right? As I'm doing my regular cascade, I can throw the yellow one over the top. Okay, so you can guys kind of combine a little bit, the cascade and the shower motion. I recommend when you first do this, pick one object, and when it gets to your dominant hand, throw it over. All right, so if you watch the yellow one, every time it gets to my right hand, I toss it over, just to get used to it. Takes a little bit for this one. All right, again, higher gives you more time. All right, then eventually it could be every one of them. Right hand throws over, left hand throws under. Okay, so once you have the two patterns, then you can mix it up. So again, I recommend pick an object now. If you're not able to do three yet, you want to do this with just two. Okay, it would go 1, 2, and then toss one over. 1, 2, over. 1, 2, over. Just to get used to throwing one way and then throwing the other. Okay, but that's a trick you can do once you're able to do a shower, which is the circle, and cascade, which is the 8. Good. There you go. And again, follow the ball with your eyes. And then eventually, you can do overhand throws for the cascade. Okay, so instead of the throw going this way, it goes outward. Okay? So instead of going this way with it, you can actually go other way. And I'm tossing them low because I've done this before. Usually you like to go higher, gives you more room to play with. There you go. Good. I'm going to leave the camera for a moment, just see what you guys are doing. And it is tricky to hold on to 2, toss 1, and then make the change. Something I would do when I would practice, I'm just holding 3, as I would do a small little cascade kind of with my hands, get a chance to move the ball around. That way you learn how to manipulate it. You know, killing time, keeping your hands occupied, got a small little cascade going. All right. And then, again, you got the overhand, you got the underhand, you got your claw, one hand, then the other, and then eventually you do both. All right. Now, something else you can do is, if you have 2 in one hand, instead of making a circle, you do what they call columns. One up, and they're beside each other. So one hand is going side to side. Okay? If you're really good at this, the pattern doesn't get messed up. It's 2 clean lines, same height. Takes a bit to get there. Okay, so try it. So you toss one up, and when you get to the top, you toss the other. All with the same hand. And then eventually you just change which hand and drop it. Pick it up and try it again. So, my arm wants to do a circle when I'm trying to get through a straight line. There you go. Good. So again, going up, side to side. Nice job, Tyler. Good. Because this is a good thing to do. You can only do 2. Because if you're doing that with 2, you can play around with the other one. Right? I can go side by side here. I can go up and down. I can oppose like that. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with 2, and the other one's just kind of moving around. So I call it columns. So again, 2 in one hand. And this one could be tossing also if you wanted to. This one's just going up and down the whole time. On that. There you go. Just want to see what you guys are doing. Nice, Mrs. Leonard. There you go. Good job. Good. Now, something you do also, right? Take a break from these for a moment, is there's various objects you can juggle, okay? And one of them is like scarves, for example. So if you're having a hard time controlling the ball, because the ball is going to fall whatever speed it is, you can't control that. But a scarf floats a little bit. You just can't do these outside. So if you wanted to, and you had some scarves, and if not, you can buy juggling scarves, is that you would follow the same idea, but now you have a little bit more time to play with. The only thing is, this throw is the claw. That's the only thing. You really can't throw these underhand too well. Okay, so what you do is, you can hold the middle. If you have something light that floats, you can use scarves. It's still the same pattern, where you're just coming around. Just no fan, and don't do this outside when the wind blows. There goes your scarves. Okay, so again, if you're having a hard time with the pattern, you can get scarves, and they go a lot lighter. They give you a little bit more time to play with on that one. There you go. Good. A couple more moments, guys. See what we got. I'm off camera for a moment so I can see what you guys are doing. Nice clean pattern, Mrs. Renfrew. Looks good. Now, if you are using scarves, take your time. 1, then the other. Be careful of rushing those. You got plenty of time. It's going to float to the ground. All right. Now, so like I mentioned, once you get the idea of the pattern, right, then the goal becomes, okay, now I'm feeling good with that. I go a little bit higher, a little bit smaller, but then you can try different objects. So for example, I used the basketball before. And if you were going to, let's say, use a basketball, okay, the best thing to do is, one, get used to first tossing the basketball by itself. Just so you know how to feel the weight. But then you do what you normally would do, but one of them is the basketball. So you wouldn't go for all three. You would do just one for a bit, right? And then you can try all the trick stuff you're doing before. It just all depends on how well you can hold the basketball, okay? And then eventually you would use two basketballs, and eventually you would try three on that one. So if you ever want to try a bigger object, I recommend start with two you can handle, and then one crazy one, and then go from there, okay? If you feel really adventurous, you can have your pets. I don't know if you guys can see. I actually have some juggling mice. You guys see the mice? They're a little skitterish. They're not used to this many people. I usually do at home. But usually when you have pets, sometimes, oh, that one tries to run away every time. Hold on, buddy. It's been a while since I performed, but you can actually have little juggling pets. These guys love this sort of stuff. They do. But, sorry, guys. But again, by the way, some of you are laughing because you know I'm kidding. Please do not really go juggling your mice. Okay, Calvin? All right. Thank you, Calvin. You have that look on your face that you're about to. Whew. All right. Now, there is something else I do want to show you guys. Hold on one moment. I am going to need to turn the camera for this, okay? I need a hard surface to show this to you. So hold on a moment. If you were here last time, I didn't do this for those guys. All right. If you happen to have lacrosse balls, especially if you can get your hands on Canadian lacrosse balls, they bounce super well, okay? And what you do is, it might be hard for you guys to hear me, but you can do your juggling, but then you have the ground to bounce off of. And that would be my Cascade. If I wanted to try a shower, then I would do that. So when you have a lacrosse ball like this, like I said, Canadian ones bounce really well, you can have some fun with your pattern, right? And then you get really fancy, and then you get the legs involved. So if you happen to have lacrosse balls, Canadian ones, they bounce super well. And if you have a nice, like, you know, driveway to bounce in or somewhere safe, hold on, get back. That's actually a lot of fun to do also. Okay, so you do the exact same pattern that we're doing before, but you just let it bounce. Okay, they don't bounce well on this mat unless I toss them super high. So that's another fun thing you can do when you're juggling. You play with different things. Okay? All right. Any questions so far? I didn't lose you guys, did I? All right, good. Just making sure. Now, I'm not trying to scare you with all the different things. I just want to show you, once you can get a pattern down, there's a lot of fun things you can do to kind of test yourself. Then eventually, after you're done working with a ball, then you might work your way up to pins. Now, these throw a little bit different than a ball does, because they actually have to spin. A little bit more danger involved with these. I mean, these aren't dangerous like knives or torches. And no, Tyler, no juggling knives or torches, please. Thank you. Okay. But if you notice, it's the same type of pattern. Okay. It's still a cascade. It's just 3 clubs instead of 3 balls. Right. So that's what you would do. Then let's see if I get fancy without smashing the camera. And then you can try going under. Whoop. Your leg on that one. Try that again. So again, from here, you can try going your leg. There you go. Maybe try it again. Whew. Good save. But so then you play different things. But then, I know what you're thinking, Mrs. Leonard, but then what next? Well, then you grab different objects. All right, so then you have a ball, then you have the club. Now, you know what? This orange ball is too small. Ah, a little better. Good. And then, whoa. But then you have different objects that you can kind of play with. Good. Now, you think that's fun. You know what's more fun than a club, don't you? You don't know, Blake? You're right. A chicken. A chicken is more fun. Now, the mice were fun to juggle, but chickens tend to be a lot more fun to juggle because they are the exact same size as a pin. I saw these once in a store and I looked at them and people were hawking them and I actually had to try to juggle them because they are the exact same size as a pin. So again, say, whoa, I tell you, the animals always try to run away whenever I'm trying to throw them. But then you have juggling and they get really good. You can make them make some noise. See, I told you, that one always runs away every time. You know, but that's the idea. So if you get the pattern down, Nicholas, then you get to have some fun with a bunch of different objects. And then, see guys, that one's gonna have to retire. And the funny thing is, it's the exact same one every time it tries to run away. But then you can do like chickens, you can do the mice, the basketball, you have a whole farmyard. If you have stuffed animals, you can juggle those, which I don't have any with me right now. Hold on one moment, guys. But anyway, so that's it, right? That's the idea, is that you can play with all these different objects and have fun, but the first thing you do is try to get this pattern down, called Cascade. So, kind of a quick review. Can everyone see these balls clearly? All right. Sometimes these don't show up too well on the camera. So when you're using these, again, Cascade, to review, this is just the Cascade going the other way, outward throws versus inward. Then you have your shower, which is the circle. That's the one everyone tends to do, but that one's actually a little tougher, and there's not many things you can play with. Then, once you do those, you can kind of play with your pattern a little bit and kind of change directions and everything. Then you have your columns. All right, then we had two with one hand, which means if I have another one, so again, when you do even numbers, one hand does one side, one does the other, and that's where you get your 4 from. Okay, so a lot of fun stuff you can play with juggling. And like anything else, you guys saw, I was dropping them today. That's very common. It's the first trick all jugglers learn, and it's the only trick that every juggler can definitely do, and they all do it at some point in time in their training. All right, guys? All right. Any questions for me before we go? Who has a question? All right, and if you have a question, type it in the box, guys, because I do have 2 pages. So if you have a question for me, here we go. But have your parents type it in chat, just a little bit easier for me to see. How you doing, Grayson? Good to see it. Oh, we do have a stuffed animal. Hey, actually, Don, you kind of see you have like unicorn nunchucks. Good. And keep in mind, juggling like anything else just takes time. The more you practice, the better. Good, good, good. And I recommend when you start with 1, get that, then work on 2, then work on 3, and eventually focus on the Cascade. That will give you the most stuff that you guys can actually play with on that one. There we go. Shoot. And request for a 6-ball fountain. No, unfortunately, 4 is the most I can do. And I don't even know many tricks with 4. I spend most of my time on 3. I'm in various things on that one. All right, guys. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun working with you. Again, keep up on it. If you have questions, just let me know. If you want to show me what you can do, want to get something down, have your parents shoot a video of it and just send me that video so I can see what you guys are doing. Or if your parents want to share it on Facebook and tag me, that would be awesome. All right, guys? All right, have a good day, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow for our 5 p.m. superhero workout. So you want to make sure you wear your coolest superhero costume. All right, Joel? All right, guys. All right, have a good day.